Andrew Dimbert is in Washington.
Intelligence pointing to an unnamed armed group calling for the storming of government buildings and courthouses if President Trump is removed from office before January 20th. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is requesting all large-scale public events be canceled until at least January 24th. The Secret Service official overseeing the inauguration is not addressing specific threats, only saying security will be tight.
House Democrats say if Vice President Pence doesn't step in and invoke the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office, they're ready to impeach him again. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
More than 200 House Democrats introducing a single article of impeachment, charging the president with incitement of insurrection for inciting violence against the government of the United States. A majority of the House's 435 members would need to vote to impeach the president. Democrats say that vote could happen as soon as Wednesday, arguing the president must be held accountable.
Some are wondering if there might be trouble when President Trump travels to Texas today to check out the border wall.
After witnessing last Wednesday's violence that followed a Trump rally in Washington, Texas Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar is more than a little concerned about what might happen today in the border town of Alamo.
We don't know what his folks are going to do because he's got some true believers.
But Cameron County GOP Chair Morgan Cisneros-Graham insists
down here, even though we have political differences, there's still civility.
Her concern centers on trouble coming from outside the Rio Grande Valley when Trump is in town. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
In California, where 30,000 people have now died of COVID, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has set up a super spreader task force to break up parties. They're also transitioning Dodger Stadium from a coronavirus testing site to a vaccination center. This is ABC News.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated price competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-721-4880. That's 800-721-4880. 800-721-4880. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
In just over a week, President-elect Joe Biden is due to be sworn in, but at least some Nevada Republicans don't think so. A letter posted by the chairman of the Nye County Republican Committee is predicting unrest, arrests, and swearing in of President Trump. Nevada's Attorney General in a statement saying, quote, those peddling conspiracy theories and lies must take personal responsibility for their words and the consequences of pushing those lies. There are growing concerns that the riot on Capitol Hill could turn into a coronavirus super spreader event, especially among members of Congress.
Seattle Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal confirming she tested positive for COVID-19 after being locked down at the Capitol. She tweeted her test result came after being placed in a secured room and that several Republicans not only cruelly refused to wear a mask, but recklessly mocked colleagues and staff who offered them one. Another positive case, 75-year-old New Jersey Democratic Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman, a cancer survivor. She says she's home resting and in good spirits. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
Twitter now says it's removed more than 70,000 accounts pushing the QAnon conspiracy theories, and Amazon says it's taking down products that promote QAnon. Amazon also facing a new legal challenge after it pulled the social network favored by conservatives off of its servers. Parler has filed a lawsuit against Amazon. Some of the Capitol Hill rioters used Parler to coordinate their facilities that day. This is ABC News.
Ready to create your own income with your own home-based business where there's no such thing as getting laid off? If a billionaire entrepreneur spent 5 years and $20 million searching for the next big trend, wouldn't you want to know what he found? If you're serious about making money from home without having to leave home, then write this down. www.goherenext.com. You decide your income. Get the facts now. GoHereNext.com.
I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
You know, folks are saying once you've used a Massey Ferguson, you won't ever want another tractor. They're tough, versatile, and dependable. And now with the change of season special at NC Tractor and Farm Supply, you'll be wise to get your special deal. Our tractors have been running in families for generations. Ask about the Phil Sheehan Fall Special going on right now. NC Tractor, 299 Railroad Avenue, Rutherfordton. Call 288-0395.
Early showers and areas of patchy fog will continue to move out of here. By lunchtime, we are going to see drier conditions filter in and mostly sunny skies take shape for areas to the north and west first. As we head into the afternoon, highs will top in the lower 50s. By tonight, temperatures will dip into the upper 20s and lower 30s. Look for those highs tomorrow. In the low to upper 50s, we'll start the day with sunshine with clouds building in. I'm meteorologist Peter Sherwood in the Weather Center.
It's dropped from 37 down to 35. Right now it's where we are, 35, but it will jump back up after daybreak up to about 53 degrees for a daytime high today. And most all week is going to be sunny skies. There may be a little threat of rain coming in here maybe on Friday night, but only a slight chance. Other than that, mostly clear skies in the daytime and cold winds at nighttime. Right now, 35 degrees. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday morning edition of the Morning Report. Now I have these death announcements. Sheila Peterson Dunham, age 70 of Forest City, died Saturday at Rutherford Regional Medical Center. No formal services will be held in the Paget and King Mortuary, and crematory is serving the family of Sheila Peterson Dunham. Vivian Ray Sigmund, age 70 of Forest City, died Sunday, January the 10th at her home. The graveside service will be held at 2 o'clock tomorrow at the Cool Springs Cemetery with Reverend Jason Madison officiating. For the safety of others, the family requests social distancing and face masks and coverings to be worn. The Paget and King Mortuary and Crematory will be in charge of the arrangements for Vivian K. Sigmund. Claude Benny Cole, age 61 of Rutherfordton, passed away Saturday, January the 9th. The funeral service will be conducted at 3 o'clock Thursday, January the 14th at Cooper Springs Congregational Holiness Church. Burial will follow in the church cemetery, and the family will receive friends 1 hour prior to service time at the church. Harrelson Funeral and Cremation Services entrusted with those arrangements for Claude Benny Cole. Lisa Buchanan Pruitt, age 51 of Forest City, passed away Thursday at Hospice of the Carolina Foothills. A graveside service will be conducted at 2:30 Wednesday at Rutherford County Memorial Cemetery. Harrelson Funeral and Cremation Services entrusted with those arrangements for Lisa Buchanan Pruitt. Gary Paul Luckadoo, 68, passed away Thursday, January the 7th at Asheville's Mission Memorial. A private memorial service for the immediate family will be held at the Harrelson Funeral Home and Cremation Service entrusted with those arrangements for Gary Paul Luckadoo. Mrs. Beulah May Stanley, 93 of Sides Drive, Forest City, died December 29th at Hospice of Rutherford County. Those arrangements still incomplete and will be announced by Pruitt Funeral Home and Cremation Service for Beulah May Stanley. Francis Paget, age 88, died Friday, January the 8th at Hospice House of Forest City. Arrangements are still incomplete and will be announced by the Paget and King Mortuary and Crematory for Francis Paget. Dorothy Sisk Radford, age 88, died Saturday, January the 9th at Fairhaven of Forest City. Those arrangements are incomplete and will be announced later in the week by the Paget and King Mortuary and Crematory. That's Dorothy Sisk Radford. Marilyn Camby Long, 72 of Bostic, died Sunday, January the 10th. A graveside service will be conducted at 3 o'clock Thursday at Cedar Grove Church Cemetery. Friends may visit from 4 until 7 Wednesday at Washburn and Dorsey Funeral Home to sign the register book and pay their respects. Washburn and Dorsey Funeral and Cremation Service, serving the family of Marilyn Camby Long. Harold Dean Pete Godfrey Sr., 85 of Spindale, passed away Sunday, January the 10th at Oak Grove Health Care Center. Services will be private for the family. And Crow's Mortuary is assisting the family of Harold Pete Godfrey. Lisa Buchanan Pruitt, age 51, of Forest City, passed away Thursday at Hospice of the Carolina Foothills. Funeral arrangements incomplete and will be announced later by Harrelson Funeral Home for Lisa Buchanan Pruitt.
Had an epiphany. She said the world saw there are people in America, led by President Trump, who have chosen their whiteness over democracy. Now, don't dismiss this as just political rhetoric from an ancient political hack. Think about what the Democrats have been saying for days. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris claimed protesters would have been treated far worse last Wednesday if they were black, even though Democrat cities were torn apart by riots, looting, and arson for months, while the Democrat mayors and governors did nothing to stop the carnage by Black Lives Matter. The race card has long been Democrats' most potent political weapon. They want the world to believe that everybody who opposes them politically is motivated by racial animus, not because of the lack of integrity and transparency in elections or over sincerely held policy differences. No. Pelosi, Biden, and Comey are picking up where Obama left off. The last thing they're interested in is healing this country or promoting unity. They are intent on doing everything they can to keep America divided, especially along racial lines. If you want proof, all you have to do is listen to what they say. If you are looking for a resolution that's easy to keep in the new year, here's one. Resolve to help protect your identity and personal information with LifeLock's Identity Theft Protection. LifeLock alerts you to potential threats to your identity. Now, you could miss certain ID threats by just monitoring your credit. LifeLock sees more, like your information for sale on the dark web. And if you have a problem, one of LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialists helps you resolve your issues. Now, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock is the New Year's resolution that's not only easy to keep, it'll help keep what's yours yours. You can save up to 25% off your first year. Call 800-440-4833 or go to lifelock.com and use the promo code RUSH. That's lifelock.com. Make sure to make a note, the promo code RUSH. That's how you save 25%.
From the county seat in Rutherfordton to the foothills of the Carolinas, you're listening to the best of both worlds. 100.9 FM and 590 AM. WCAB.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
WCAB, 24 hours a day, we're family-friendly radio.
I listen to it every day.
It's what we do between the music that sets us apart. WCAB.
It can be a tough call when it comes time to provide a daycare service for an aging parent or a loved one. You can always depend on Rutherford Life Services for a safe facility that offers medical monitoring, nutritional meals, fun activities, and is a loving environment. Rutherford Life is licensed by the State of North Carolina Division of Aging. They will be glad to answer any questions you may have. Call them at 288-1697. Rutherford Life Services offers a trained staff of professionals who you can entrust your loved one to. Rutherford Life Services is located at 230 Fairground Road in Spindale.
In January of 1872, the Russian Grand Duke Alexis went on what was called a millionaire hunt. Because of his political influence, General Sheridan was instructed to make sure the 21-year-old Grand Duke had a good time. So, General Sheridan selected George Armstrong Custer as the Grand Marshal and Buffalo Bill Cody as the hunting guide. Buffalo Bill enlisted Sioux Chief Spotted Tail and 100 of his braves as entertainment. According to Buffalo Bill, the Duke Alexis paid considerable attention to a handsome Indian maiden. Protocol dictated that the Grand Duke should kill the first buffalo. The Grand Duke wanted to take his buffalo with a handgun, But after he emptied 2 pistols with no hits, Buffalo Bill gave the Grand Duke his buffalo rifle, Lucretia. The Grand Duke got his buffalo. Afterward, everyone drank champagne. Buffalo Bill, in his autobiography, commented that he was in hopes the Grand Duke would kill 5 or 6 more if champagne was to be opened every time he dropped one. One can only imagine the battle for the Grand Duke's attention that took place between Buffalo Bill Cody and General Custer. However, it seems that the Grand Duke actually liked General Custer quite a bit. General Custer got a big hug from the Grand Duke. The two took pictures together following the hunt. And when General Custer was killed, the Grand Duke sent money to General Custer's wife, Libby. Buffalo Bill did get 3 buffalo's head brooches. And then don't forget the free champagne. You've just heard another story from Chronicle of the Old West. I'm Dakota Livesay.
And we're right here at home in the foothills, WCAB 100. What is Whiteside Road, Rutherford? That's where we are. Good morning, good morning, Sheriff Chris Francis. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Jim. How you doing this morning?
Well, I'm doing great. Just getting around a little bit this morning. I feel good, so I'm getting around a little bit.
You had me concerned for just a second, but I know your sense of humor.
You know me well.
Yes, sir.
What's been going on?
Jim, the last 24 hours, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office has responded to 125 calls for service. There's been 1 arrest processed at County Jail. Currently incarcerated, we have 136. Arrested was Trevel Shea, 24-year-old male of Ellenborough, was charged with assault on a detention employee and assault and battery and received a $10,000 secure bond. Among our incidents, we had a break-in and larceny to a garage on Harris Henrietta Road. There was a red Milwaukee storage bin that was taken valued at $60 and a DeWalt 4.5-gallon air compressor valued at $350 that was taken in that incident. We also had an assault call on Nehemiah Drive in Forest City. It was a juvenile that had assaulted his mother. Same has been turned over to Department of Juvenile Justice to file a petition for that. And, Jim, that's what we had to report in 24 hours, a fairly peaceful day.
That's good. I like to hear those quiet times. It's not near as long as it has been.
I appreciate it. That is exactly what I said. The smallest amount of calls. I don't want to jinx anything, but I certainly do appreciate it.
Yeah. Sure, I do appreciate you being on with us, and you have a safe day out there. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jim. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Farm Bureau Insurance doesn't hire celebrities to push auto coverage. We think people might like to make decisions based on service and savings, not just because that guy from that show says it's a good idea. Instead of faces you know from your TV, we offer faces you know from your neighborhood, because we're headquartered in North Carolina with local agents right in your town. That's really the only thing we want to be famous for. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
In Rutherford County, please call 287-2428.
North Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Insurance of North Carolina, Inc., Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
And we're going over to 911 Communication Center. See what calls they've had in the past 24 hours. And here's Kylie now with that report. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's on the report for the past 24 hours?
In the past 24 hours, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office 911 communications has processed 651 911 calls and administrative calls, which consisted of 67 for EMS, 35 for rescue, 125 for the Sheriff's Office, 61 for Forest City, 1 for Lake Lure, 49 for Rutherford, 42 for Spindale. Cliffside responded to a motor vehicle accident. Ellenborough responded to a motor vehicle accident. Forest City responded to a motor vehicle accident. Hublo responded to a motor vehicle accident. Sandy Mush responded to a motor vehicle accident. And Union Mills responded to a motor vehicle accident. And that's all we have.
My goodness, a lot of accidents, a lot of motor vehicle accidents in the past 24 hours.
I know.
Don't know what's going on out there. Thanks for the report. You have a great day over there. We'll talk to you again soon.
You too.
Bye.
Nobody gets a better deal than the customers of Sisk Family Ford. They have a proven record as the #1 Ford dealer in customer satisfaction in the Southeast. They continue to strive hard to keep that honor. Come on in and see for yourself. Take a look at the all-new design 2021 F-150 or reserve an all-new 2021 Bronco coming in the spring. Don't miss out on the automobile you've been wanting at the Sisk Family Ford price. Take your pick while the picking is good on Oak Street in Forest City.
Danieltown, Shiloh, Danieltown, Oakland Community Fire District. Ruby Taylor is reporting from there this morning. What do you have on that report this morning, Ruby?
The fire department didn't have any calls. And on my birthday calendar, I got Mark Hopper, Ad Hopper, Jimmy Henson, and Holden Green. No, Jerry Henson and Golden Green. And that's all I got birthdays, and I hope they have a nice day, and the signs are in the east today and going to the legs tomorrow. Jim, that's all I got.
I appreciate it, Ruby. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
It's great to get discounts on beautiful furniture, and thanks to the Recliner Center, you can get 10% off everything in the store. 10% off lift chairs, 10% off sofas, 10% off recliners, 10% off bedding. Angela has changed her hours to suit your schedule. The Recliner Center is now open Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 4, and Saturdays, 9 to 2. And of course, you can make an appointment by calling 828-395-3562. Come by soon and pick out the recliner, sofa, or lift chair that best suits you and get 10% off your purchase. Come by and see Angela Cooper at the Recliner Center today. The Recliner Center is on Cooper's Gap Road in Rutherfordton.
Now we're going up to Mountain Ways, up to Fairfield Mountains Fire District, Bills Creek Community. And Gary Wilson is on the radio with us live in a living color to give us that news from up there. Good morning, Gary. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. If I can get cut through this fog where I can see you up here, it'll be all right.
I know it. It was pretty thick earlier down here.
It's thick up here, but it really is. Been cloudy and overcast for the last 24 hours or better, and never warmed up much yesterday. Got up about 38, 39, stayed there about all day, and about 35 this morning. So it ain't, kind of a raw 24 hours. Hopefully the sun's going to break out here after a while.
I believe so.
Give us a little better day. And we've had no fire calls in the last 24 hours in Bills Creek or Fairfield, so it's been quiet. And I was laughing at your smartphone yesterday. I guess I better quit laughing at it, because about 30 minutes after you told me it was showing snowflakes, we got some snowflakes.
Did you?
Come down for about 2 minutes. And then a little later on, we had some sleet. So a little bit of stuff going on there for a while yesterday.
Variety weather yesterday.
And but everything else is going good. We're ready to go up here today for another day, and hope everything is as quiet today as it has been the last 24 hours.
Well, I hope you can stay safe and enjoy it, Gary, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
All right, we'll talk to you then.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye. 22 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this terrific Tuesday morning. I hope you're already off to a good start on this day. Make it a good one. Find some things to make you happy today. Next phone call coming up in just a moment.
Your car's best friend can be RS Speedy Lube Service Center. That's because RS Speedy Lube Service Center and Car Wash can keep your car or truck running clean with a regular oil change. They check the fluids and vacuum out the car and have you on your way in no time. Go next door for a radiator or transmission flush. Brakes, exhaust, CV joints, and service for big trucks and campers also available. Pull next door to the RS Speedy Automatic Car Wash and make your car happy with a clean, all under and all over car wash. It's all at RS Service Center and Car Wash on Railroad Avenue in Rutherfordton.
Hudlow Fire District is where we like to travel to this morning and through the fog and see what Bob Hodge is up to today. Bob, how you doing?
We're doing just fine on this Tuesday morning up here.
You having much fog up there?
It was real foggy earlier, but it's lifted a lot in the last 15 or 20 minutes there, so it's got a lot better out here, but it was real foggy earlier, so I'm pretty sure there's still some in spots. You just have to be careful.
That's exactly right.
And Jim, with the fire department, it's been real quiet. Yesterday even, we had to call assist Union Mills on a vehicle accident call, but we turned around before we got there. They didn't need us. So other than that, things going along good. And usually sort of short up here this morning and sort of quiet up here. So maybe it'll be that way all day.
Well, it's kind of quiet with the Sheriff's Department this morning, too, but 911 had to report a bunch of accidents yesterday for some reason in the past 24 hours. Just about every department had a major or had a car accident. So I don't know what the deal was.
Yeah, seemed like over the county they had a good many yesterday. evening. I don't know where it was the weather or what it was there, but the roads was wet, I reckon, and
Maybe so.
and everything. So, but maybe today will be better, and look like that sun's going to come out today, so that'd be good.
It'll be beautiful today, Bob.
That's right. Get out and enjoy this weather. So, look like more bad weather over the weekend again. There, change. So, it just comes and goes, don't it?
It sure does. We have to be prepared for whatever the weather calls for.
That's right. Well, Jim, you take care and have a good day.
Thanks, Bob. I hope you do too, and we'll check back in with you tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
McCurry-Deck Motors has been providing the stylish Buick for families for generations. Come browse a new selection and you'll find the car that everybody's talking about. The family-owned dealership is deeply entrenched in our community. They understand the needs of the customers and will work with them to find the perfect car, truck, or crossover for their lives. Experience the new Buick at McCurry-Deck Motors. Take a look around the website to learn more about everything offered at McCurry-Deck Motors, 1740 U.S. Highway 74A, Forest City.
Cherry Mountain Fire District is our next stop, and Sue Price is on the phone to give us the news from there. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning, Jim.
You up and at 'em already this morning, feeling good?
I'm up and at 'em. Just a quiet morning over here, and I have no calls from the fire department, so I reckon they were quiet. That's a good thing. Don't have any birthdays or anniversaries on my church calendar or my personal calendar for today. Let's see, Fairview's got birthdays for Judy Kempler and Cheyenne Sadler. So I hope they'll both have a good day today and enjoy their day. And I hope anybody that's having a birthday or anniversary will have a real good day on their special day. And maybe they're going to have a pretty day for it after a while. It's still a little bit on the darker side right now, but it'll clear up and be pretty.
Still a little cool right now, but it'll warm up.
Yeah. Well, yesterday was a cold day.
It was
we
indeed.
had doctor's appointments. Ron took us, and it was kind of cold getting in and out. But anyway, it's going to be a nice day, and we hope everybody will have a good day, and I hope you'll have one, Jim.
Thanks, Sue. You too, and I will check back in with the Cherry Mountain Fire District tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Now let's say good morning to Andrew Tisdale. Good morning.
Good morning. These are your headlines. Market declines, unemployment, oil prices. These can be pretty scary. Hi, I'm your Edward Jones financial advisor, Andrew Tisdale. And I'll work with you to help you understand the impact of these just short-term events and how it's not going to affect your long-term goals. We can provide the tools and the reasoned, disciplined approach on how to invest. So please, don't let these headlines derail your long-term financial strategy. Call us today, 828-287-9197. Our office is located in the Food Line Plaza in Rutherford. This was Edward Jones, Making Sense of Investing, and a member of the SIPC. Bye.
Now we're heading over toward the Drop-In Family Mart in Boston. Jessica's on the phone right now to give us an update on what's cooking. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Everybody come on down to the Drop-In Family Market this morning. We got bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits. I'm cooking fresh bacon as we speak right now.
I hear it
we got
frying.
yes, sausage and egg and cheese biscuits. Whatever kind of biscuit you want, we have for you. If you don't want it on a biscuit, we can put it on toast or white bread or even a bun. Today in the meat department, we have a few specials going on. We've got ground chuck for $3.19 a pound, and we got some filet mignons for $12.99 a pound. So everybody come on down to the Drop-In Family Market this morning. Come see old Jess cooking. We got fresh coffee, fresh cappuccino. Some people have been asking what kind of cappuccino we have. We got French vanilla, caramel crunch, which is really, really good. We got some hot chocolate. So everybody come on down and see us this morning. Just remember, we will have a truck that will be delivered tomorrow morning. We'll have fresh produce, fresh milk, paper towels, toilet paper, whatever your needs are, we should have. Our hours at the drop-in are Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday is from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then Sundays the deli's closed, but the store opens up at 11 and closes at 6 p.m.
Somebody told me the other day they came over there and got a sausage biscuit, and he said, Jim, everything Jessica says about those biscuits are really true. So it really was tasty.
Yes, they're really good.
You're leading a lot of folks over there your way to have breakfast. That's good.
Yes. Our sales have dramatically improved. We love it. But hey, that's what pays our paycheck.
Yeah, sure. It keeps you employed, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. We love to see everybody's faces, so everybody come on down and see us.
And go to the back of the store, folks. That's where Jessica is, and say hello to her. She'll be glad to see you.
Yes, most definitely.
You keep up the good work over there and make those folks happy with a good biscuit, and I'll see you next time.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. That's the Drop-In Family Mart there at Bostic on the Bostic Sunshine Highway, right across from the post office. You'll find good food over there, plus a lot of groceries, and they're great customer service people. If you can't get out of your car, tell them what you want, they'll bring it out to you. They're that kind of people. So go see them at Drop-In Family Mart there in Bostic, and the fabulous meat market. My goodness. And 7:31 right now. We'll be back to our next phone call. And matter of fact, I believe we're going up there right now. As a matter of fact, I believe Todd has Tina on the phone, and won't even pause. We'll just go right straight to Shingle Hollow. We won't even pass go. We won't even collect $200, and we'll get to Tina right now from Shingle Hollow and see what's going on up there. Tina, how you doing?
I'm doing good this morning. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. What makes you happy this morning?
Oh, just to be alive and breathing.
Well, that is
Not
a good.
sick.
That is a good thing.
Shingle Hollow's kind of dreary this morning, but we're hoping to see some sunshine.
You have fog up there?
Yes, very foggy, so be safe. Be very safe. Watch it slow down and, have your headlights on. Sometimes people forget to turn those lights on if they're driving one of the cars that doesn't come on automatically.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I was I was coming to work the other morning early and stopped I might have mentioned this already to somebody, but right beside me there was a guy had his cell phone. He read that cell phone while he's trying to drive, and he pulled off and had that cell phone right in front of him. I thought, man, put that cell phone down and pay attention to the road.
There's a lot of people that do that, and they're thinking, well, I can just look at it for a second.
Yeah.
And then that second turns into a little longer, and then lives are lost or people are hurt. I think that the school system does a good job telling, our kids, because Jeremiah is very adamant that he's not going to answer his phone. He's not going to, if he's driving, no, he doesn't. He pulls over, and then he'll call me back. So he's in his 20s, early 20s. But the generation like our age, like people think, oh, we can look at it just a minute, and then accidents happen
real quick.
And I do realize that not all kids do that, but I think that the school system's teaching them not to text and drive is a wonderful thing.
It's a wonderful thing, yes, it is. So any accidents up your way, fires or anything?
Well, Shingle Hollow didn't have any. Green Hill had a medical assist. And birthdays, we got Miss Gladys Campbell. She's at Pony Knob, and we just love her. She was a sweet lady. Good neighbor. Nothing else going on this morning as far as I know.
All righty. Well, you have a great day and be safe out there, and we'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's Tina reporting out of Shingle Hollow this morning. Glad to have her on board with us. It's 7:34.
Henson Building Materials is returning to our regular days and hours to better serve the fast-growing building needs of the Forest City area. Our hours will be 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. We'll still be taking safety measures, cleaning, wearing masks, and social distancing, all while our friendly and knowledgeable staff will be taking your orders on a variety of building, remodeling, and DIY projects. With the combined experience of over 50 years, Jamie Earls, Terry Dunaway, and Randy Harrell in our 10,000 square foot showroom will get you in and out, loaded and back to your project, all with the flexibility in ordering. And while you're at it, visit our Homeworks by Henson showroom with our 2 designers for all of your kitchen and bath cabinet and countertop design needs. Time to get out, get busy, and visit Henson Building Materials. Building starts here.
We're being kind today to Daniel Gwynn. Daniel Gwynn, he lives in Rutherford, turns 81 today. So happy birthday, Daniel. Glad you're having another birthday, and thanks for sharing it with us here at WCAB. Now let's head up toward Union Mills to get the Cali report from upstate Union Mills. Good morning, Miss Brenda.
Good morning, Mr. Jim. How are you on this terrific foggy Tuesday morning?
Well, I feel just as good as if I had good sense.
I believe it. I enjoyed that Golden Valley Crusader song you played just a while ago, and I believe it featured Clint Hauser, didn't it?
It did indeed, yeah. Yeah, he's got that high tenor, doesn't he?
Yes, he has. I can remember going to singings and him holding that till I thought, golly, he's going to pass out.
Yeah, he on that song, Working on a Building, he held that one for 14 days, it seemed like sometime.
I'm telling you. But it's good to hear the good gospel songs. I enjoy them.
Well, thank you.
Let's see. I've got 32 degrees on the front porch. I don't have any birthdays, any anniversaries. I don't know of anything going on. We've got a lost pig in the Camp Creek, Frog Creek area. And if you see this pig, she's a white pot belly pig. Please call 828-429-1319, and they would greatly appreciate it when they want their pet back. And other than that, I don't know of anything going on. It's just short, sweet, and quiet.
Foggy up there?
Yeah, it's off in the distance it is. But I was going to tell you, I saw snowflakes yesterday also.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Mixed with the rain or by themselves?
No, it was just snowflakes. That was all it was, and then it started raining later. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I said, well, Jim, and I thought about you saying you sing snowflakes on your phone. I said, well, that phone's got more sense than any of us.
I saw some mixture when I went out to lunch. I saw some snowflakes in mixed with the rain, but just you can tell it when it hits the windshield that it's not just rain, it's something else. But we never see anything substantial here, I don't think. So
no,
we got all excited when we see snow.
Oh, yeah, well, we didn't either, but it was early. It was between, I'd say, 9 and 10 or somewhere like that. I always look out at my bird feeder, and I said, it's snowing. But it didn't last long, but it was pretty.
Yep, always fun to see it fall.
Oh, yeah. But I don't know of anything going on, so I guess you need to go check on Luke, the sweet thing Gilligan, and see if he's okay this morning.
I'll see you next time.
Catch you later.
Right, bye, Brenda. Brenda Kelly reporting out of Union Mills this morning. On our basketball schedule, we've had our revised schedule from the Tar Heels. You know, they were had to move out of that Clemson basketball game with Tar Heels Saturday because of COVID infection there with Clemson. Now, on tonight, there is a basketball game with Syracuse. Tar Heels and Syracuse. Countdown to tip-off is 7:30, and then the network pregame is 8 o'clock, and then the tip-off is 9 o'clock tonight. Then on Saturday, there's a basketball game with Florida State, and that tip-off is 10:30 in the morning. Network pregame is 11, and then the tip-off is 12 noon. All that's happening right here on the Tar Heel Sports Network. They can't seem to get their games in with all the COVID stuff going around, but it won't be long before you turn around 14 times. It'll be time for the ACC, and we'll see how all that's going to square away. Don't know at this point what that looks like, but if it happens, we'll have it on right here. Now at 7:39, we're heading over toward Ellensboro and talk with Mr. Luther Gilligan. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great that foggy, rainy morning.
How you looking?
Well, I look pretty good. I'm not good looking, but I look pretty good. I'm doing good for shaping, man.
I hear you.
But it's a quiet morning. There's not a whole lot going on. See, the fire department, they had one accident yesterday morning. Had 3 medical calls, all of them last night. But they're quiet this morning. Nothing going on with them. Everybody's just getting their gas and their biscuit, heading on out to work. Trying to cut their way through the fog. There's nothing else going on down here, so you have a great day up there. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Stay out of the middle of the road, and I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, take care now.
See you now. Bye-bye. And that leaves us time for birthday celebrations, and anniversaries on this 12th day of January. So if you're having a birthday, call us, and we'll give you a big shout-out. Or having an anniversary, we'll give you a big shout-out. And we'd like to celebrate with you and make it a big, big day for you. So call Todd. He's standing by out there to take that birthday call at 287-3356, 287-3356. We've cleared the phone lines for you for happy birthday time here on this morning wake-up call.
Thinking about the departure of a loved one through death is a subject we don't like to talk about. However, pre-planning or prepaying for a funeral is a consideration and responsible thing to do. With so many options available today, it's important to speak with someone you can trust and someone who can help you find a balance between the emotional, spiritual, and financial needs of your loved ones. Crow's Mortuary and Crematory is recognized as one of the best family-run funeral homes. It's a family tradition, and they know how to care for your family. Any questions you might have, they will be happy to answer. Call Crow's Mortuary and Cremation Services at 286-2304.
That's really something to crow about. It's the Daylight Donuts from Granny B's in Spindale. Get yours today while they're fresh. They're good. They're delicious. It's Daylight Donuts. It's something to crow about. Happy birthday. No birthdays. Todd said he didn't get to answer the phone for birthdays this morning. I don't have any other than we are being kind to Daniel McGuinn. He's 81, lives over in Rutherfordton, so we want to wish him a happy birthday. And he's the king of the day. His birthday is today, and we're wishing him a happy, and we're being kind to him. So happy birthday, Daniel. Hope you have many, many more. And coming up, a little after 8 o'clock this morning, Andrew Tisdale will be here in the Blue Room talking about how to make sense with our finances. A Great America with Jim and Butch, 9 o'clock this morning, 9:05. We have a special guest with us on the program today, too, so you want to hear that for sure. Don't go away. Meanwhile, we're going to take you down memory lane with some classic oldies right after we have Keys to Confident Living.
La Fontaine gives us the delightful fable of the acorn and the pumpkin. One day a man was walking through the woods praying and meditating on the goodness of God. He looked up and noticed a great big oak tree with a tiny acorn hanging from one of its branches. Then he looked down and saw a great big pumpkin growing at the end of a tiny little stem. In his mind, he protested the work of the Creator. He would have put the large pumpkin on the big tree and the little acorn on the tiny stem. Then the man decided to take a rest, so he lay down underneath the oak tree and fell asleep. Now, as fate would have it, a tiny acorn fell off the tree and hit the man in the nose, waking him up and causing him to cry out in pain. Then he realized it. Suppose things were the way I wanted them. Suppose the pumpkin was up there in the tree instead of the acorn. I would probably be dead. And they say that the man walked away with a greater faith in God, saying to himself, whatever God does well. There are times in our lives when things are not going the way we would like them to go. We cry out, it's all wrong, it's stupid, it shouldn't be happening this way. At times like these, we need to remember that whatever God does well. This is Bill Hostler with today's Key to Confident Living. Scripts for today's Key to Confident Living are now available in book form by calling toll-free 1-888-333-KEYS.
From the county seat in Rutherfordton to the foothills of the Carolinas, you're listening to the best of both worlds. 100.9 FM and 590 AM. WCAB.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Well, I've been waiting ever since 8. Guess my baby's got another date. Stood up.
Get your message to the thousands. Call the WCAB Sales Department today at 287-3356.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. As new information comes to light about the pro-Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol last week, and the FBI warns of new violence ahead of Joe Biden's inauguration next week, the House is on the cusp of impeaching President Trump for a second time.
This morning, the House Speaker is still holding out hope that the Vice President will remove Trump by invoking the 25th Amendment. But that seems highly unlikely, though Pence has not publicly ruled it out. He and Trump last night speaking for the first time since the siege. If Pence doesn't act within 24 hours, Pelosi says the House will move to impeach, a vote expected as soon as tomorrow.
ABC senior congressional correspondent Mary Bruce, the single article of impeachment charges incitement of insurrection against the United States government. The FBI warning of more insurrection to come. ABC News Chief Law and Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas.
This morning, security stepped up across the country after the FBI sent a disturbing bulletin warning that armed protests are being planned at all 50 state capitals. State officials reacting to a dangerous environment. New Jersey's governor pleading with citizens not to come to his capital this weekend to protest. The National Park Service has closed the Washington Monument until at least January 24th, citing credible threats.
2 Capitol police officers has been suspended, one for allegedly taking selfies with the rioters, the other for donning a MAGA hat and directing them once they got into the Capitol. Ohio Democratic Congressman Tim Scott says as many as 15 officers are under investigation. Today, President Trump travels to Texas to see the wall.
The White House says the president has completed 400 miles of border wall, but that total includes construction to replace existing barriers along the border. Joe Biden signaled he'll stop future construction once he takes office.
ABC's Karen Travers in Washington. A second Democratic member of the House forced to go into lockdown last week with Republican colleagues who refused to wear masks has tested positive for COVID. This is ABC News.
Cindy and her husband felt stuck paying annual fees on their timeshare. But what could they do?
We tried to sell it, but no results. No results at all.
Then they called Newton Group, and that's when things really started to happen.
We got a call within days. We never felt like they forgot us because we would get updates along the way.
Before long, they were free and clear.
We signed up with Newton Group in August, and it was a done deal by January.
And how's Cindy now?
We're very happy with Newton Group. It was a very positive experience for us, and we highly recommend them. And we are looking forward to not having to pay the $1,500 a year.
Do what Cindy did. Call Newton Group for your free consultation and free consumer's guide to timeshare exit. Call 800-500-1987. That's 800-500-1987. Newton Group has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, so call them at 800-500-1987 or visit newtonexit.com today.
One of the 2 black boxes from a passenger jet plane that crashed right after takeoff in Indonesia has now been found by dive teams. And officials there say they are confident the second one will be found soon because its beacon is being heard in the same area. The plane crashed into the Java Sea with 62 people on board over the weekend. 2020 set to go down as one of the deadliest ever for law enforcement across the country. ABC's Jim Ryan.
264 made the ultimate sacrifice protecting their communities, despite precautions taken in departments large and small.
It was unavoidable,
says Marcia Ferranto of the nonprofit National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. COVID-19 killed 145 cops, more than guns and car accidents combined.
Unfortunately, we believe that number will close to double before we're done.
And this year already has begun badly, with an officer murdered during last week's riot at the U.S. Capitol. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Alabama, once again, champions of college football, beating Ohio State 52-24. Crimson Tide wide receiver and Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith.
Just with COVID and everything going on, it just made things tougher and just made us more together as a team.
Also coming together despite worries about the coronavirus, crowds of fans. That's what it sounded like, raising fears of a Tuscaloosa super spreader event. Coronavirus forcing Paris Fashion Week this month to go digital. No audiences at any shows. This is ABC News.
Ready to create your own income with your own home-based business where there's no such thing as getting laid off? If a billionaire entrepreneur spent 5 years and $20 million searching for the next big trend, wouldn't you want to know what he found? If you're serious about making money from home without having to leave home, then write this down. www.goherenext.com. You decide your income. Get the facts now. GoHereNext.com.
I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Today we're going to see clouds gradually clear out and so will showers and areas of patchy fog. Sunshine will move in later in the day. Today's not going to be a complete washout. We're going to get highs to top in the lower 50s, and as we head into tonight under mostly clear skies, temperatures will fall off quickly down into the upper 20s and lower 30s. Watch for a few areas of fog tomorrow morning, but as we head into the afternoon, temperatures are going to reach the low to upper 50s. I'm meteorologist Peter Sherwood in the Weather Center.
Well, the temperature is dropping. It started out this one when I got here at 37. It went to 35. Now it's reading 34, according to Peter, the meter reader. But it should be warming up after the fog lifts and the sun comes out up to 53 for a daytime high today. Beautiful weather all this week, mostly sunny skies every day. So let's enjoy. It's 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. It's Tuesday morning, and Tuesday morning is designated Andrew Tisdale Day here in the Blue Room. He's with Edward Jones, financial advisor. He's here this morning to talk to us about some important things. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good. What do we got to do to negotiate not just the blue room, but the blue and white room every Tuesday morning?
We'll talk.
Okay.
We'll talk.
Because it feels important that it's Andrew Tisdale Day, at least in the blue room. But
absolutely.
Wow.
You need
a promotion to the white and blue.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue.
I should do that. I should paint one of these rooms red.
That's right.
White and blue.
Patriotic.
Yeah, yeah.
Patriotic.
So you had a good fishing trip, huh?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. We're gonna be eating some hybrids and perch and some stripers for a few little times. It's fun seeing my dad catch a few and the boys catch a few, and really fun when I caught a few.
Yeah. What were you fishing with? Anything special?
Herring, just herring. Put a 2-ounce egg sinker, find where the herring's at, and drop it down to where they're at, and say, "Hang on."
Hang on.
If they're hungry, they're gonna eat. If they ain't hungry, they're gonna pass it by.
All right. Well, I'm glad you had a good day.
About 40 fish in less than 4 hours. That's not too bad.
It's not bad at all.
Not bad at all. Didn't move much around.
Pretty good investment of your time.
That's right. Can't never take it back now.
What you got on your mind today?
Here's what we want to think about. I know a lot of people is getting anxious, getting nervous, the way the election went, the way the market's at, where the market's at. There's news all over the place. But here's some things that we want to consider. Some considerations are, if I have money just sitting right now earning nothing, is that good for me? But I'm too afraid to put it into the market because the market, I just don't know what's going to happen. Well, we never know what's going to happen. That's the good news. And the good news about that being that the reason we don't know why it's going to happen is because there's always going to be opportunities every day. So let's talk about today. In today's circumstances, what are opportunities? Just because the market's really high does not mean there's other investments out there that's not a good opportunity. Just think about it. If gas prices go up, oil companies are going to be more profitable, yet it's taking more of my money, so McDonald's isn't, because I can't spend my money at McDonald's. Yes, Andrew, but that's a little too more volatile than me. I don't want to see it all up and down. Here's an idea. Think about bonds. What is a bond? A bond is you becoming the lender to one of these companies or the government itself. The bonds are fixed income investments that's strategically placed for a longer amount of time, and they're going to pay you a certain fixed amount until it comes mature. Guess what that's just like? A CD. The only difference is a CD, certificate of deposit, is in a bank. A bond is with a company or the government. They are a little safer. They're going to give you some sort of amount of return, but is it going to grow like the market? No, it never does. There's a reason, because bonds are made specifically for those needing some income, or that want just something over a 3 to 5 year period that's going to give them a solid return, but without the volatility. Just remember, there's always opportunity. Always opportunity. And with inflation the way it looks like it's going, if you have money just sitting around not earning anything, in all honesty, you're actually losing money, because that money's not going to buy the same amount of product in 2 years as it would today. So if it's just sitting there, it's losing money.
So then you would advise people to get it up under their mattress and do something with it then?
Oh, especially in the wintertime, because if it catches on fire, it's gone.
It's amazing how many people still do that, though.
It is amazing, and I don't have a problem advising people to have some stashed a little here and there for emergency rainy days. Mm-hmm. But one, they need to look at their insurance policy. How much do they have, and how much would that cover? Because from an insurance standpoint, I could tell them I've got $2 million sitting under my mattress, and they'd be like, prove it. Well, I can't. It's gone. It's done gone. Or they may have it in a safe. Well, you know, can you prove that? The heat's what generates the flames of the paper, not the flames itself. But there's only so much you need to do, because then you're really hurting yourself. And it goes back to strategies. Are you ready to build wealth? Are you wanting to build wealth? Or are you wanting to sustain wealth and get the income off of it? And either way, under a mattress, it's not going to do either thing. It's just a good rainy day place.
Yeah, not a good plan.
Actually, I wouldn't put it under a mattress either. I'd find somewhere else to put it in the house or something. Don't dig it outside. I've seen too many bugs eat it up.
Yeah. Edward Tisdale, financial advisor with Edward Jones, making sense of investing. He's at Railroad Avenue, 173 Railroad Avenue, Rutherfordton. And that phone number is 287-9197. And he's willing to talk with you and answer your questions about what to do with your $1.50.
Be happy to.
All right.
Y'all have a great afternoon and the morning, and I'll try for the white room, too.
We'll see you next week. It's Andrew Tisdale. Always a pleasure having him in with us here in the Blue Room. 11 minutes after 8 o'clock, we'll have that Sheriff's Report with Sheriff Chris Francis coming up in just a moment. Meanwhile, we're being kind today to Daniel McGuinn. He's 81, lives in Rutherfordton, so we want to wish him a happy birthday.
It's a new month, and a new crop of scratch-offs are ready to harvest. These tickets are fresh off the vine and plump with prizes. Oh yeah, smells like a winner to me. So come on down. Your freshest chances to win in an instant are ready with new scratch-offs like Mega Bucks and Quick 100s from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Kinda gives cash crop a whole new meaning. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 4.05 to 4.63. Problem gambling helpline, 877-718-5543.
Special program this morning at 9:05, My Great America with Jim and Butch. Got a special guest exclusively here on WCAB. Former Congressman Steve Stockman, who was convicted and sent to prison. Donald Trump just commuted his sentence, the rest of his sentence, and he'll be on the air with us this morning to talk about that and why he was there and what he thinks about it. We'll have all that coming up on My Great America with Jim and Butch at 9:05, and pass the word. Tell your friends and neighbors. News from here and there. We found some things in the Daily Courier. They're reporting about Spencer Baptist Church serving as host of Night to Shine 2021, sponsored by the Tim Tebow Foundation. Church officials say the unforgettable prom night experience, centered on God's love, celebrating people with special needs, will be held by host churches around the world simultaneously on Friday, February the 12th, through a unique online event. Kelly Settlemeyer, youth minister at Spencer, said in a time when so many people have been left feeling alone or alienated, it's important for Spencer Baptist to stand with the Tebow Foundation in this way to honor our local community of people with special needs, ensuring they know they are valued and they are loved. Spencer is coordinating the local event. This is the first time a Rutherford County site has hosted Night to Shine. Caregivers will be given an online link through which special needs guests who are signed up for the event may access the live event. That will include live musical performances and special messages, culminated with a message from Tim Tebow. During the week leading up to the event, Settlemeyer and volunteers will deliver a box full of gifts for the Night to Shine guests, including prom favors, and their caregivers will receive a receipt card box of gifts. The event is open to special needs guests ages 14 and up. Settlemeyer says it's all about sharing God's love. Linda and Doug Trebo are the parents of a daughter, Corrine, who has special needs. Linda is the Spencer Baptist Church secretary and came up with the idea for the church to host Night to Shine. So they are doing that this year, and I think it's a great idea, and I commend Spencer for hosting this February the 12th, 2021. Some bright lights shining for this year. We're glad to be able to report that. And those of you who watch American Pickers on TV, eyeing that they're coming back to North Carolina. They're going to be filming in March in North Carolina, unsure yet where. American Pickers want to send Mike Wolf, Frank Fritz, and their team to North Carolina in March. Officials with the show, which airs on the History Channel, announced plans to return to the state, maybe western North Carolina. Better yet, maybe Rutherford County. We're unsure yet if they're coming to Rutherford County or not, but they are coming to North Carolina. Producer Sarah Perkins sent via email, we're looking for leads throughout the state, specifically interesting characters with interesting items and lots of them. The way we find people and collections for our show is through spreading the word far and wide so that people know we're coming to town. So we would love to spread the word about our upcoming trip in your area. Whether they end up in Rutherford County depends on what the area has to offer in the way of unique collections and characters with a story to tell. So maybe Rutherford County's got some important antiques or junk or something they'd like to be able to let the American picker look at and sell off. Contact them, I guess, would be the best way to get that done. Well, Democrats are moving to punish Donald Trump supporters. They want to dump him out. They want to do all kinds of damage they could possibly think of to him on his last few days in office, anything they can think of. But they also wanted to punish his supporters in Congress. Senior Democrats are planning to censor Republican Representative Louis Gohmert of Texas and Mo Brooks of Alabama for supporting President Trump. Fox News reporter Chad Pergram said Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida, a Republican from Florida, also could be the target of a censure resolution in the House in the coming days, noting that the House has three formal modes of discipline: reprimand, censure, and expulsion. Pegram wrote on Twitter that Fox has not seen any prospective resolution and is unaware of what the specific grievances would be. The lawmakers were among those who voiced Trump's concerns about election fraud in the 2020 vote and formally objected to slates of voters at the joint session of Congress last week. Well, in the Senate, meanwhile, Fox News reported Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island was calling for the expulsion of Senators Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, Ted Cruz, Republican from Texas, and perhaps others for signing on to objections at the joint session. White House said the senators should be booted from their committees and denied permission to discuss the issue until their punishment is decided. You see what's happened here, folks? Whatever happened to freedom of choice? Whatever happened to freedom to choose whoever you want to choose or support whoever you want to support? Not when the Democrats are taking control. You don't support Donald Trump or we'll get you out of here. We'll reprimand you. We'll cut out your committees. We'll try to get you out of Congress. You don't do that. You support us or else. Other Democratic senators who have made similar demands include Sharon Brown of Ohio, Patty Murray of Washington, and Chris Coons of Delaware. So it's a tough battle going on out there, folks. Fox News and other right-leaning outlets are being targeted by frenzied Democrats and liberal media calling for them to be deplatformed. CNN openly is trying to ban Fox News, Newsmax, OAN from airways with the Democrat stamp of approval. What does that sound like to you? Democrats are using the mob riot at the U.S. Capitol in Winston to justify demands to pull the plug of what CNN's Brian Stelter calls dishonest companies that profit off of disinformation or conspiracy theories. CNN's chief media correspondent made his argument in his newsletter, as did Oliver Darcy and others who lack all self-awareness when it comes to pointing fingers. They want to point fingers at Fox and Newsmax and OAN for disseminating false information. Have they turned the cameras on CNN or MSNBC? Have they looked at themselves in the mirror? We regularly discuss what the big tech companies have done to poison the public conversation by providing large platforms to bad faith actors who lie, mislead, and promote conspiracy theories. But what about TV companies that provide platforms to networks such as Newsmax, One American News, and yes, Fox News? Jones' announcement, these announcements are getting pretty loud out there. Whether or not they come into play, I don't know. They are trying their best to, shut down Fox News and One American News, Newsmax, and all that because they reported Donald Trump's activities and didn't jump on the bandwagon with CNN. So CNN, MSNBC, Democrat Party, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, do it my way or you're going to hit the road. Now, I'm just telling you, you got to do it my way. We ain't putting up with none of this Republican, conservative Donald Trump stuff. Got to do it my way, or we're going to get you out of here now. Don't you forget that. I'll be back in just a moment with the Sheriff's Report. It's 20 minutes after 8 o'clock.
I got my flu shot. Did you? That's right. It's that time of year again. Flu shot season. Medicine Box of Rutherfordton would like to remind you that the best defense against influenza is a flu vaccine. We have the standard dose vaccine and a high dose vaccine for those 65 years old and older. The Centers for Disease Control recommends a yearly flu vaccine as the first and most important step against flu viruses. Remember, don't let the flu get you down. Prevent it with an influenza vaccine. Come visit the Medicine Box of Rutherfordton at 200 Charlotte Road in Rutherfordton or give us a call at 828-287-7117.
Hey, listen, if you have a bunch of land covered with trees and you want to do something with that land, develop the land maybe, call Bristol Industries. They'll buy all type of standing timber that you might have on your land, and you get a good price, too. They've been doing this a long time, over 30 years now, probably 35 or so. They've served all of western North Carolina. If you have acres of standing timber, call Barry Ellenberg and Jacob Shuford. You might as well get top dollar for your trees, right? Jacob and Barry are trained in this business. All the loggers are insured, and you'll be dealing with a reputable company. Call Bristol Industries, Bridgewater Chip Plant at 828-584-3335. Again, that's Bristol Industries, Bridgewater Chip Plant at 828-584-3335. And if you've got complications with your tax forms, or maybe you weren't satisfied with last year's filing, or you have a lot of questions and you want somebody with authority and knowledge to help you with that, if you need help in getting your books ready for taxes, you need IE Accounting and Tax Service. How do you spell IE? Well, you spell it A-R-Y-E-E. A-R-Y-E-E. Accounting and Tax Service is more than someone who fills out the forms for you. They can very likely save you money. IE Accounting and Tax Service can help set up your bookkeeping at a lower price than anybody in the USA, guaranteed. They can teach you QuickBooks, set up that for you, handle your payroll, tax planning, and implementation to recognize the full value of your tax planning. IE Accounting and Tax Service can help if you're in trouble with the IRS or if you are unhappy the way your tax returns were handled last year. Make a call to IE Accounting and Tax Service today. Now, write this phone number down. Have it close by. 828-395-1777. That's 395-1777. And you know what else? IE Accounting and Tax Service are forensic specialists. If you have a fraud case, they're specialists in handling fraud cases. They're so versatile and so easy to work with. From the simplest tax form to the more complex issues, IE Accounting and Tax Service could be the best decision you can make. That phone number again is 395-1777. They're right on Main Street there in Spindale. And again, you spell IE, A-R-Y-E-E. Go see them and take your tax returns and let them work for you. They'd be happy to do that. Sheriff Francis was on with us earlier this morning, gave us the report from the office, and here it is.
In the last 24 hours, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office has responded to 125 calls of service. There's been one arrest processed at County Jail. Currently incarcerated, we have 136. Arrested was Trevel Shea, 24-year-old male of Ellenborough, was charged with assault on a detention employee and assault and battery and received a $10,000 secure bond. Among our incidents, we had a break-in and larceny to a garage on Harris Henrietta Road. There was a red Milwaukee storage bin that was taken valued at $60, and a DeWalt 4.5-gallon air compressor valued at $350 that was taken in that incident. We also had an assault call on Nehemiah Drive for our city. It was a juvenile that had assaulted his mother. Same has been turned over to Department of Juvenile Justice to file a petition for that. And Jim, that's what we had to report in 24 hours, a fairly peaceful day.
WCAB.
Sports Update is next, and they'll be back on the flip side of that with some more stuff to talk to you about, get you informed, right here on the Morning Wake Up Call, hour number 3. Don't forget, coming up, 9:05 special guest with us this morning, My Great America with Jimmy Butch. Congressman Steve Stockman will be on with us.
NCN Sports, I'm Josh Zach. Alabama won their 18th National College Football Championship last night in dominating fashion. The undefeated number 1 team beat third-ranked Ohio State 52-24 to collect their 6th title in the last 12 seasons. Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith had 12 catches for 215 yards and 3 touchdowns, all in the first half as the Crimson Tide bolted out to a 35-17 lead. Mac Jones threw for a CFP championship record 464 yards and 5 touchdowns, while Najee Harris accounted for 158 total yards and 3 scores. Crimson Tide head coach Nick Saban applauded his team for the way they played all season.
You know, this is a team that was always together. Everybody bought into all the principles and values of the organization and the program, and they just did a great job. They played together. They supported each other.
Alabama becoming the second team to score over 50 points in a college football title game, the first being USC in 2005. And so it's no surprise Bama has finished number 1 in the AP Top 25 for the 11th time. After finishing with the program's first perfect season since 2009, the Crimson Tide were a unanimous number 1 in the final poll. The Buckeyes finished second, followed by Clemson, Texas A&M, and Notre Dame. Coastal Carolina finished 14th in voting, and the Tar Heels are 18th. There is an opening for an NFL head coach in Philadelphia. The Eagles have fired Doug Peterson after not making the playoffs and only winning 4 games this season, their worst record since 2012. The move coming 3 years after winning Super Bowl season. CBS Sports senior NFL reporter Jonathan Jones says one of the reasons that the Eagles may have parted ways with their coach is...
I'd have to imagine that this is really rooted in that Week 17 decision. Down just 3 points, Jalen Hurts obviously giving this team the best opportunity to win a football game, and he inserts Nate Sudfeld into the game, a guy who in 5 offensive snaps turned the football over twice and stuck with him.
Whoopsie. This is NCN Sports.
Hi, I'm Mike Sprayberry, Director of Emergency Management. For years, I've told you how to stay safe during severe weather. But right now, our biggest threat is the COVID-19 virus. If you're battling the weather or a virus, it's critical to be prepared. For weather, make a plan, build a kit. For a virus, wear a mask, wash your hands, and keep your distance. For all hazards, stay informed. We're all one family, so let's protect each other. Find out more info at readync.org. This message is brought to you by the Department of Public Safety.
Help us serve you. North Carolina retailers aren't just the backbone of the local economy. They are the first ones to step up to support your Little League teams, your booster clubs, and to step in with product donations in times of need. So please shop NC. You hold the power to help North Carolina's retailers rebound faster by choosing to spend your dollars in North Carolina. The NC Retail Merchants Association proudly represents these dedicated retailers and encourages you to shop NC. Learn more at ncrma.org.
Gordon Hayward scored 34 points, and the Charlotte Hornets beat the New York Knicks last night 109-88 for their 4th straight win that vaults them above 500 for the first time this season. In other games, Milwaukee topped Orlando, Washington took down Phoenix, Memphis winners over Cleveland, Atlanta pounded Philadelphia, Portland took care of Toronto, and Sacramento winners over Indiana. Last night's games between Dallas and the New Orleans Pelicans were canceled, as well as the match between the Bulls and Boston Celtics because of coronavirus and contact tracing issues. No word yet on when they'll be made up. Patriots coach Bill Belichick has passed on an invitation to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom this week. The 6-time Super Bowl winning coach did not say explicitly that he turned down the honor from Donald Trump. Instead, he explained the decision has been made not to move forward with the award in the wake of last week's deadly siege on the U.S. Capitol. Josh Zach, NCN Sports.
Today we're going to see clouds gradually clear out and so will showers and areas of patchy fog. Sunshine will move in later in the day. Today's not going to be a complete washout. We're going to get highs to top in the lower 50s, and as we head into tonight under mostly clear skies, temperatures will fall off quickly down into the upper 20s and lower 30s. Watch for a few areas of fog tomorrow morning, but as we head into the afternoon, temperatures are going to reach the low to upper 50s. I'm meteorologist Peter Sherwood in the Weather Center.
Thank you very much, Peter. According to our Peter, the meter reader, it's 35 degrees. It started out at 37, dropped to 35, then to 34. Now it's going back up the line, and we should be reaching the high of 53 today and mostly sunny skies. Sunny skies prevail throughout the weekend. The only time it looks like there might be a shower is Friday night, and that's a 20% chance. All the other times, mostly sunny, mostly clear. And on Saturday night, it's going to be cold, cold, cold. A wind chill value as low as 29 on Saturday night, with wind gusting to about 15 miles per hour. Otherwise, a beautiful week. There's another great getting up morning here at the Foothills, and thank you so very much for being with us. Got a few more minutes here in the third hour of the morning wake-up call. But in spite of all the things that are going on with the Democrats piling on down with the president after he was defeated in the election, they maintain the control of the Senate again and the House. They're really piling on and doing all they can to embarrass the president, weaken him as best they think they can, and so he'll go away. He won't ever come back again is what they're thinking. They want to tarnish his name so bad. They want to make a twice impeachment, which I don't know if it's going to happen now. They have very few days to work on that. They wanted to escort him out of the White House, and that didn't transpire. So they're doing all their best to scar him and put bullet holes in him so he won't come back and run again in 4 years. That's what they're after. They may hate him that much, but that's what they don't want him to come back with. They want to look here's a man, I've been impeached twice. Here, look this. But there is one Georgia Democrat who, in spite of all that, he says, I'm tired of being part of the Democrat Party. Vernon Jones, and he's no bandwagon jumper either. On what was likely the darkest day for the Republican Party since Barack Obama won his second term in office, the Democratic state representative in Georgia announced that he was switching parties to join the GOP. And he delivered a message Republicans needed to hear. He says, more than ever, the Republican Party is in desperate need of leaders that know how to fight. He writes in a Twitter post, and he says, I know how to fight. So he's leaving the party and joining the Republican Party. Jones' announcement came as Congress was gathering in the Capitol to certify the results of the November 3rd election to officially make an aging, almost certainly corrupt career politician the next president of the United States, and furious Trump supporters put their outrage on display. It came as votes were being tallied in Jones's home state, down in Georgia, that could well have put Democrats in control of the U.S. Senate as well as House of Representatives, and he did. It came, in short, when every conservative, when every Republican, and every American who cares about the future of the country needs to settle in for the prospect of another long stretch to rival the Obama years of fighting to keep the country's spirit of individual liberties alive. That fight needs to continue in an age when an alarming number of their otherwise seemingly sane citizens are willing to accept a brand of leftism that is guaranteed to end in moral and fiscal bankruptcy. Jones's announcement got a warm welcome from many on social media. Congratulations, they were writing, you are the type of Republican that is needed in the party, someone that actually fights for the people. Somebody else said, yes, we're so glad to have you. We need real conservative leaders, and you are one of the best. So Vernon Jones from Georgia, welcome. University student over in University of Dallas, a female student, has recently come forward with her story after being rejected from a summer internship opportunity because she wasn't capable of doing it, because she wasn't competent, because she wasn't smart enough to do it. No, she was denied that opportunity due to being white. WHITE. The student, who has to remain anonymous so that her future career in the finance field is not jeopardized, she said, it's not like I was underqualified or anything. I met everything else. I had the right major. I had the right GPA. I was in the right year in college, she said, but I was white, so they wouldn't give me a chance to have an internship at the University of Dallas. So there you go, folks. There you go, folks. Well, my friend Glenn Mollett, Dr. Glenn Mollett, sends me things all the time, and I really appreciate his commentary. He's a well-known writer, author. He's also a musician. But if I could share some of the ideas he presented, I think, says, please stop the violence. Acts of violence against a marriage partner have never saved a marriage. Violent acts toward family members have never made a family happier. Typically, they create emotional and sometimes physical wounds that are never forgotten. Too many families have suffered because someone in the family became violent. Violence in our communities and towns always result in pain, division, and sometimes even loss of life. Violence typically brings the wrong people together to do bad things. No community, city, or state needs that. In times of war or enemy aggression against our United States, violence has been necessary. Acts of war have never been pleasant. Many of you probably lost family members in some of the wars of the past. Aggression against the United States, violence has been necessary. Acts of war may have not been pleasant. They result in the loss of life and horrific debilitation of so many people physically and mentally. Most Americans do not want to be at war with anyone. In years past, we've had to protect our country against those who sought to harm us. The Second Amendment gives Americans the right to bear arms and protect ourselves. We're grateful for our military, but we pray for peace. None of us want our family members actively involved in combat if it can be avoided. Violence like we saw last week in the United States Capitol was criminal. It helped no one. It solved nothing. Everyone who traveled to hear President Trump speak should have bought a nice dinner in D.C. and then traveled back to their families. Unlawfully entering the Capitol was wrong and was carried out in a violent, criminal way. People were killed, offices were torn apart, and doors broken down. Staffers were terrified for their lives. This should never have happened. Many of these criminals will eventually be arrested and spend time in jail. This act of criminal stupidity did nothing to advance or help President Trump. If they had stopped in front of the Capitol and given speeches, yelled, screamed, waved their signs throughout the day, and then gone home, the results would have been better. Terrorism never produces positive results. Destruction of the property of others and the terrorism of people are savage and criminal. This same kind of unnecessary violence was seen in many of our cities last summer. Over in Cleveland, Ohio, after a march had taken place, people saw the results of acts of violence. Glenn Mollett said he saw almost all of downtown Cleveland boarded up. Businesses were closed. Hotels were closed. Very few restaurants were open. For weeks, his family was afraid to stop in downtown Louisville because of the protests and the disruptions occurring in the city. Glenn says in the United States of America, individuals, groups, and organizations have the absolute right to march, protest, and exercise their free speech. However, the destruction of buildings and businesses are acts of violence and are criminal. The people who shut down sections of cities throughout our country should be arrested and put in jail for their behavior. An acquaintance who lived outside Seattle for many years was terrified to travel back to that city last year. Violence against Democrats or Republicans will not bring this country back together. Invasion and violence against the Capitol solved nothing but ruined some lives. Violence will not change the results of the election. Joe Biden will be the president of the United States for the next 4 years. Go ahead, march, protest, yell, scream, and financially support organizations who promote your point of view. But please, please, put your guns, pipe bombs, and hatred away. Let's bring America back to the America we love and appreciate and admire and respect without all the violence and turmoil and the anger and the hostility that's penetrating throughout. House Democrats are introducing an insurrection article of impeachment against Donald Trump even as we speak. After House Republicans blocked a measure calling on Vice President Mike Pence to revoke the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office, the Democrats formally introduced an article of impeachment against the president Monday, charging him with incitement of insurrection in connection with the massive breach of the U.S. Capitol. Did he have anything to do with it? I don't think so. Was his rhetoric probably got people inflamed? Probably. He always has spoken sometimes when he should have been toning it down, but he did. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi insists that while there are only a few days remaining in Trump's term, the president is unhinged and must be removed as soon as possible, and she plans to hold a vote tomorrow. However, the Senate will not be in session until January the 19th, and the chamber would need all 100 senators to agree to take up the impeachment trial, which is very unlikely. Constitutional scholars argue the Constitution makes no provision for impeaching a former president. Pelosi has acknowledged in an interview with 60 Minutes on Sunday night that one of the Democrats' objectives is to ensure that Trump cannot run for president again. That's what I said a while ago. They want to make sure he don't come back. Any way they can tar and feather him is what they're after. Pelosi said that's one of the motivations that people have for advocating for impeachment, so he cannot run for president again. No, he has that right. He's only filled 4 years, and president can have 8 years, so he can come back and run again if he chooses. He can have 8 more years. But they want to see that he doesn't do that. They want to scar him so bad that everybody's going to say, Donald Trump, yuck! CBS News' Leslie Stahl asked, won't that take more than 10 days, and does it actually make sense? Nancy doesn't care if it makes sense or not. She's going to do it, get all the bad publicity for him that she can possibly stir up, and along with her California cohorts, the ones that are trying to work this thing up. Meanwhile, you know the name, Alan Dershowitz. He's a Harvard Law School professor. He's a liberal. He's not a Republican. He's a liberal Democrat. He says Trump's foes prepare to tear up the Constitution. Trump's opponents in Washington's swamp, as he describes it, are so intent on destroying him that they are prepared to tear up the Constitution. This is constitutional scholar Alan Dershowitz said. He's saying, in other words, in Rutherford County, he's saying the Democrats are dumb and stupid for wanting to tear up the Constitution. What they're doing is not right. The emeritus professor of law at Harvard wrote at the Gatestone Institute site that the Democrats' new impeachment drive would compromise the constitutional rights of all Americans. He wrote, let us be clear about what those who would impeach and remove President Trump are really trying to do. They know that under the Senate timetable, there is no realistic possibility that a Senate trial could be conducted and completed before January 20th at noon. What they want to do is to impeach President Trump without giving him an opportunity to defend himself at a Senate trial. He said that would be terrible to a prosecutor deciding to indict someone and then deny him a trial at which he could disprove his guilt or prove his innocence. President Trump's opponents are so angry at the president for his volatile speech, which was misguided and wrong but completely protected by the First Amendment, that they are prepared to tear up the Constitution in an effort to remove him by any or all means. They're prepared to ignore the First Amendment, distort the 25th Amendment, stretch the criteria for impeachment, and permit House impeachment without a Senate trial. This is the liberal professor Dershowitz saying this. These efforts, if successful, would do more damage to the rule of law than the horrendous mob did when they criminally stormed the Capitol. So don't they listen to anyone anymore, even folks within their own mindset of liberalism? He's a man who knows the Constitution. He's been saying all along that what they're doing is absolutely asinine. It's not right. It's against the Constitution. It tears down America and goes against everything we've ever fought to stand for. But does Nancy Pelosi care about all that? No, she's grandstanding. She's grandstanding. She barely got to be Speaker of the House again. Barely, just a few votes, and she would not have been Speaker of the House. But she's going to grandstand all she can grandstand until Inauguration Day when Biden takes over, and it's Katie bar the door at that point. Katie bar the door. But we're going to live through it. This day will pass. There's a bright sunshine out there, and it'll be another sunshine day tomorrow. And it's going to be fine. This too will pass, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back in just a moment.
Get the most out of your tax refund with Bark Mobile's Refund Rack-Up event. Come in this tax season and get a great smartphone at a price you can't beat. Absolutely free. That's right. Get the popular LG Stylo 6 or LG K51 for free when you switch to Bark Mobile. Then rack up even more savings with unlimited data for $45 a month with AutoPay and take your tax refund to the max. Visit a store today to get the most with Bark Mobile. Mobile made easy. Certain restrictions apply. See store for details or visit mybarkmobile.com/terms and conditions.
At Smith Drugs of Forest City, we have a number of vaccines, including the Quad-Vac flu immunization at no cost with most insurance plans. If you have any concerns about the flu vaccination, please call our pharmacy and ask to speak to one of our pharmacists. We also have the Tdap, pneumococcal, and shingles vaccinations available. With COVID-19 continuing, we have masks, mask lanyards, hand sanitizers, disinfectant spray, and gloves while supplies last. Seating in our fountain is still limited to 65 patrons on a first-come, first-served basis. We are continuing to offer curbside pickup for the fountain and prescription pickup. Please utilize our drive-through prescription window at the back of the store. And remember that our back entrance is still closed to the public at this time. Please check our Facebook page for any updates on over-the-counter and gift shop items. Our home medical equipment department is ready to help you with any of your CPAP needs, mobility, bathroom safety, lift chairs, and any diabetic needs to include meters, test strips, and shoes. Please call us with any questions you may have about any of our services or message us on our Facebook page. We are located at 139 East Main Street in downtown Forest City, and our phone number is 828-245-4591.
846, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Hey, listen, there's a lot of criticism out there among the national negative news about all the cabinet secretaries that are resigning now and stepping down. Well, look, if you were employed by a company and your boss was leaving in 10 days, 10 days, you knew you were going to be out of a job anyway, there ain't no way in the world Joe Biden is going to keep any of those cabinet secretaries on the job. No way in the world is he going to keep any of them, so they know they're out of a job anyway. So they're leaving out trying to find something else. And the national media is trying to think they're abandoning ship because of Donald Trump. Well, Rush Limbaugh explained why Trump backers in the government are abandoning ship, returning to the microphone after a difficult 2 weeks of treatment. Rush is having a hard time, folks. He really is having a hard time with terminal cancer. Rush weighed in Thursday on the turmoil at the U.S. Capitol, beginning his show by addressing why so many lawmakers and people in the administration are abandoning President Trump. He noted former Attorney General William Barr declared Trump betrayed the presidency by inciting a mob, and one-time ally Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina said the president's legacy has been tarnished, telling colleagues on the Senate floor, "Count me out, enough is enough, I've tried to be helpful." If you want to live in the political elected class in Washington, Limbaugh said, you have to say Trump betrayed the presidents. If you want to live in that political elected class, you've got to say Trump betrayed the presidents. You have to say it. There's no alternative for it. You've got to scratch their backs. He said most lawmakers are backing down with some exceptions, such as Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri, Representative Matt Gaetz from Florida, who exercised their constitutional right to object to the electoral vote due to evidence of irregularities and fraud. Limbaugh called making a prescient assessment of Trump's chief opponent just weeks before the 26 opponent election. He said the establishment, with everything they are invested in the establishment, remaining the establishment and in power. They're just not going to sit back and trust this to your votes. They're not going to trust this to an election, to a campaign, not going to trust it at all. Limbaugh said 4 years ago that establishment figures are going to do everything they can to destroy whoever it is that wants to take control from them. And in the process, they're going to destroy that person so as to send a message to the next guy. Don't even think about it. Don't even try. Look what we did to Donald Trump. Look what we did to whoever is the message. Rush went on to say, I know what you're up against. I know who they are. I know how they think, and I know how they'll roll. Limbaugh played a clip from an interview Monday with Democratic Georgia Representative Hank Johnson on Dean Obala's Sirius radio show. Quote, it would be detrimental to our party if the Biden administration would say, well, Trump did some bad things, but let's look forward. In other words, Limbaugh said they want to scalp. They don't want to say he did good things. They want to scalp. Yeah, they want to taint him. They want to put an arrow right through his forehead. They want somebody buried. They want a coffin, folks. They want a political coffin. There's none of this Richard Nixon stuff. Let's put him on Air Force One, send him out to San Clemente or whatever. There's none of this George W. Bush, send him down to Dallas, and let's just pretend it never happened. They want a political coffin. Johnson said in the interview Monday that Democrats must make sure that those who come after Donald Trump know that they will not be allowed to get away with what Donald Trump did, and they will be held accountable. So they are after a scalp. They're doing their best to get one, too. Yep, they are indeed. Trump issued a proclamation packed with powerful quotes of faith and freedom during his term. Thomas Beckett's death serves as a powerful and timeless reminder to every American that our freedom from religious persecution is not a mere luxury or accident of history, but rather an essential element of our liberty. Donald Trump sometimes was his own worst enemy when he started chasing rabbits. When he stayed to the scripts and said what was on his heart, he did a great job. But sometimes, you've probably done the same thing. You started talking, explaining yourself, then you get carried away and started saying things you wish you hadn't said later. I don't know what's on Donald Trump's mind, but I know he has done a great thing for America. And if I had the time, I would point out some of those things that he's done that helped America become strong again. But time is running out. It's about 9 minutes before 9 o'clock. But we're going to get out of here. Make room for ABC News, and then 9:05 this morning is My Great America with Jim and Butch. We have a special guest this morning. Be our guest. We get an exclusive on all the major networks. Congressman Steve Stockman, former Texas Congressman Steve Stockman, who was convicted, put in prison because he went after the big guys, and Donald Trump commuted his remaining sentence. And we'll talk with him about that. The first interview he's done, I believe, since he got out of prison, and we're fortunate enough to have him on our show coming up a little after 9:05 this morning. So hang around with that. Meanwhile, let's see what we can do with a little more music while I go rest the old tinker down here. Get my voice rested up for another program coming up. You folks are great. Thanks for being a part of our audience. Thank you for making WCAB your radio station of choice for the Foothills. Thank you for being a part of it. Love you. I appreciate you, and thank you for the comments you make, phone calls and the emails and the letters and cards. You don't know how much I appreciate it. I really, really do. Don't say it enough. I know I don't say it enough, but you're great. I want to wish a happy birthday again to Daniel McGuinn, 81, lives over in Rutherfordton, sharing his birthday with us, and we appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Now have a great Tuesday, folks. We'll be back with My Great America in just a few moments.
From the county seat in Rutherfordton to the foothills of the Carolinas, you're listening to the best of both worlds. 100.9 FM and 590 AM. WCAB.
Get the first weather forecast at 6:05 here on 100.9 FM 590 AM WCAB Rutherfordton. From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. More COVID vaccines are coming as the Trump administration asks states to release the booster shot so more people can get their first inoculation. Here's ABC's Karen Travers.
Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar confirmed on ABC's Good Morning America that the Trump administration would no longer hold back vaccine doses. Azar said that was being done with second doses to have what he called a safety stock.
Everything is now available to our states and our healthcare providers.
Azar said the Trump administration is now recommending states give vaccines to people age 65 and over and people under the age of 65 with an existing disease or medical condition. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
30,000 people in California have now died of COVID. In Los Angeles, Dodger Stadium is being set up as a vaccination center. New this morning, Sheldon Adelson, the billionaire founder, chairman, and CEO of Las Vegas Sands, has died of complications from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Asked at a conference once what he hoped his legacy would be, Adelson, who was a power broker within the Republican Party, said he hoped it would be his impact on Israel. The investigation into last week's insurrection on Capitol Hill continues. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
FBI field officers in all 50 states are now combing through videos and images along with some 45,000 tips to track down the rioters. And federal authorities warned there could be more threats ahead. An FBI bulletin alerting law enforcement across the U.S. that armed protests are being planned at all 50 state capitals through Inauguration Day.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser on that says security will be tight from now until the end of the month in Washington.
We want to make sure in a very extraordinary time that the appropriate limits are placed on gathering in the nation's capital.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi again urging the vice president to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office as the House prepares to impeach President Trump for a second time. You're listening to ABC News.
Here is some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you sign up for a plan that you're just not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. It's the affordable alternative to health insurance, and it's worked beautifully for 25 years. They have more than 400,000 members now around the country. MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry, and over the years, members have shared over $3 billion of each other's medical bills, so they could help share your needs too. And best of all, you could save a lot of money with MediShare. The typical savings for a family is about $500 a month. Your savings could be more or less, but think about what you could do with that extra money every month. You're not stuck with a high-cost health plan. You can join MediShare anytime, so call them today and check it out. Here's the number to find out more, and there's no pressure. They are super easy to talk to. Call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
Parler, the social network kicked offline after Amazon dropped it from its servers, is now suing Amazon. Several reports say rioters at the Capitol used Parler, which is favored by conservatives, to coordinate what happened. Some lawmakers are now calling for stepped-up fines on unruly air passengers, especially after the Capitol Hill riot and before Inauguration Day. Here's ABC's Megan Tavrizian.
The crackdown comes as videos emerge showing a growing number of incidents on flights to and from D.C. after the riot. The list of banned passengers also growing. United Airlines banning 60 people for mask violations just last week, and Alaska Airlines banning 14 people on one flight alone. The FAA tweeting that federal law prohibits you from physically assaulting or threatening to physically assault the crew and anyone else on an aircraft. You could be subject to fines up to $35,000 and imprisonment.
After the deadly crash of a passenger jet in the waters of Indonesia, dive teams had now found one black box, the flight data recorder, and officials say they are close to the cockpit voice recorder. 62 people were on the plane when it went down. The coronavirus has found its way to the San Diego Zoo. Several gorillas at the famous zoo have tested positive. It appears they caught it from a staffer who was positive but asymptomatic. They're believed to be the first known cases of COVID among primates in the U.S. and possibly the world. This is ABC News.
They're knocking on the door. They're calling your phone. It's your bad credit. It's chasing you, and it won't leave you alone. Raise Credit has helped thousands of consumers for over 40 years. Raise Credit has daily webinars helping people just like you rebuild their credit legally and quickly. Raise Credit will set up a new $1,000 cash credit card for you at the end of the program. Just a setup fee and a call will get you the 750 credit score you've been waiting for. Call 800-490-4140. 800-490-4140.
Sherry Preston, AB.
This is Gilbert. If you owe the IRS past due taxes, don't call those toll-free national numbers. Local, affordable help is right here in Rutherford County. Stop garnishments, levies, and liens. Call Gilbert Carmona at 828-289-9300. All initial consultations are free. Call Gilbert, 828-289-9300.
Today we're going to see clouds gradually clear out and so will showers and areas of patchy fog. Sunshine will move in later in the day. Today's not going to be a complete washout. We're going to get highs to top in the lower 50s, and as we head into tonight under mostly clear skies, temperatures will fall off quickly down into the upper 20s and lower 30s. Watch for a few areas of fog tomorrow morning, but as we head into the afternoon, temperatures are going to reach the low to upper 50s. I'm meteorologist Peter Sherwood in the Weather Center.
It's time now for My Great America with Jim and Butch, a conversation about positive things about this great country. And now here are Jim and Butch.
Well, good morning, Butch.
Good morning, Jim. There you are. You know, you've got a great collection of sweaters.
Well, I think I overdressed this morning. The weather's going to be nice and warm. I should take it off.
I don't think you overdress. Blue looks good on you. You know what? We're going to jump right in, folks. We're going to tell you that today's My Great America is brought to you by every single patriot in America who believes in the country, its Judeo-Christian values. We've got a very special program today. We're not going to have a lot of ruffles and flourishes. We're going to jump right in. Congressman Steve Stockman served as a U.S. representative for Texas' 9th and 36th congressional districts. He was wrongly convicted in 2018 of trumped-up charges and was serving a 10-year sentence in the Federal Correctional Institution in Beaumont, Texas. Donald Trump pardoned him on December 22nd, 2020. His tireless, tenacious, incredibly courageous wife, Patty, along with others, including some people in our church, fought for his release, and we're going to talk to him today. It's happening here on My Great America with Jim and Butch. He's going to give you incredible insights about what's taking place in the country. He was a true patriot that put his life and his reputation out on the line to call into question things that you perhaps remember in the news. I'm going to quickly give you some background. The findings by the Treasury Department's Inspector General marked the end of a political firestorm that embroiled the IRS in controversy. It led to the ouster of its commissioner, Lois Lerner, and prompted accusations the tax collection agency was being used as a political weapon by the Obama administration. Their exhaustive report was examined. 9 years worth of applications for tax-exempt status. It came after a similar audit in 2013. It found that groups with conservative names like Tea Party or Patriot were being unfairly targeted for further review. Both GOP and Democratic lawmakers had previously lobbied for her to be fired. She resigned. That was something I was quoting from the New York Times.
New York Times, of all things.
October 5th, 2017. Congressman Stockman went out on the line. He gave truth to the world. He was on a Fox News broadcast, and 2 weeks later, the FBI showed up. You know what, folks? We're entering into some dark days, but it's a time for courage to take its stand, and we've got great examples like Congressman Steve Stockman and his wife. So we're looking forward to them being on.
Oh, absolutely. I'm honored that he would be spending this time with us to get this exclusive here on WCAB. There are many major events probably would love to have him, but he's coming on first right here with us on My Great America with Jim and Butch. So I'm honored that he would do that, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say because everybody followed that story, the major story when that happened, when he was exposing of the IRS and what they were doing to conservative organizations, nonprofits, and all of a sudden here he is, he's locked up for doing that. And that's a scary time in America, but we remember that, and I'm thankful that Donald Trump commuted his sentence.
Well, and we know too that Trump is going to be blamed for anything bad. If the weather's bad, it's his fault.
Sure.
You know, he somehow influences meteorology. But you know, the other thing that we need to understand is particularly now, and it says in Scripture, God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. We're not going to be fearful, but we're going to be courageous. Mm-hmm. And as it was mentioned in our church the other day, one of the things that's happening is there's a clear line of demarcation between people that are on the right side of truth and people that have made truth sort of a creative writing assignment. You know, and it takes a lot to be courageous enough to go out on the line and call things for what they are. The nature of the political process, you have so many people that want to protect their political assets, their political equity. So when somebody is willing to call out what is taking place, it comes with risk. And let me make this very clear. If the federal government decides that it's going to go after you, they will find a way, particularly with the weaponization of the Department of Justice and other federal agencies like the IRS, they will find a way to put you in prison. And we make it very clear often in our church as we talk about prisoners, and there's so much in Scripture that talks about the plight of prisoners. We make it very clear that God's heart is close to the prisoners and that there are a lot of people in prison today who don't belong there. There are people that have ended up as victims of conscience, not unlike Alexander Solzhenitsyn, not unlike Dietrich Bonhoeffer. History is replete with examples of people who have God-birthed courage, and that courage has cost them something, and Congressman Steve Stockman is such an example. So we're just waiting for him to call in at this point.
I admire his courage because some folks after the sentence was commuted, excuse me, they would go hide somewhere in some quiet area, but he's out here fighting again. He's out here making known what transpired because I'm sure he doesn't want that to happen to anybody else because it's a terrible time. And I admire him for doing it.
Well, and you know, one of the things that's also happened is that we have a lot of people who are, in this case, Republicans in name only. We have a lot of people that are career politicians who are constantly asking the question, what can I do to make sure that I protect my political capital? You know, it's become an inconvenient truth to point to the swamp. There are people that make fun of the swamp and say it doesn't exist, but the reality is career politicians, in some cases on both sides of the political fence, have often created an environment where you have a number of these folks that leave office much wealthier than when they came in. They're paid well as people in Congress, but not as well as the net worth ends up being for a lot of these folks. And we know that there is a lot of collusion that's taken place between a number of career politicians and those that have special interests that are trying to influence policy. And so when you see bright and shining lights in a dark place like Washington, D.C., you want to honor and acknowledge that. But we've got many victims of the politicized Department of Justice that are in prison today. And we dare not forget that. We dare not forget the people that have gone out on the line to really defend our freedoms.
His name leaves me right now with the man who they would charge in overnight in the middle of the night with all kinds of armed people and took him out in handcuffs. It had nothing wrong other than he was part of Trump's team.
Right, and you know, not unlike the Gestapo, not unlike the secret police in Eastern and Central Europe during the days of the dominance of the former Soviet Union, a lot of this is designed to engender fear. But when we have courageous figures like Congressman Stockman who are willing to stand up in the face of intimidating action, his dear wife, Patty, has been unbelievable, tireless in networking, getting his story out. And as I spoke to Congressman Stockman a few days ago, one of the things that we agreed on, and I feel very strongly in my spirit and my heart, is that when you know you've got a mark on you, that's not a time when you want to be quiet. It's a little bit like, I don't want to be reckless here, it's a little bit like somebody that's got a contract out in their life. You want them to be under the bright light of day. You want them to be under the street lights. You don't want them to disappear so that their voice is not heard. And so we've encouraged Congressman Stockman to make it his passion, which is already there, along with Patty, to bring his story to the marketplace because it's illustrative. You know, the story is told of the canary in the coal mine. And canaries would be released into the coal mine for the purpose of determining is there noxious gas that's in there. And the noxious gas, of course, would kill the miners. Well, the canaries have gone into the coal mine of our Department of Justice and American political process and our judicial system, which the president thoughtfully has been reframing with the appointment of these conservative judges. But we've got a long way to go. And when laws become weapons used to assault the conscience and religious liberty of Americans, we've got a serious, serious problem. Now, having said that, it's a good opportunity in this interlude for us to make this comment, too. It is never right to violate the law. It's never right to destroy personal property. It's never right to threaten people's personal safety and somehow try to invoke the old statement from the Revolutionary War that extremism in defense of liberty is no vice. There are lines that were crossed in Washington last week. We absolutely have got to make that penetrating look into the obvious. And we cannot, because of our passion and enthusiasm, somehow let these unbelievably sordid demonic forces take us over where we feel somehow it's okay to assault, to bruise, to injure. It's just not right. We need to call out the people who did it, regardless of their political party.
And I think President Trump is trying to do that now, even admitting the fact that that should not have happened, and he feels a little bit responsible for his rhetoric. And he's facing up to that fact, and I think that's a healing process too. If the American people who got caught up into that will understand that we did wrong, we need to do that differently from next time. I don't know. I hope Congressman Stockman gets in here with a phone call.
Yes, well, you know what? We're gonna keep talking about him because we've said Tuesday and Thursday are the days that we're gonna have him featured. Let me just tell you, folks, 3 quick things about Congressman Stockman's story as we wait for his call here. If there's been any kind of interruption or problem on his end, we're definitely going to keep the focus today on Congressman Stockman's story. But beyond that, we'll have him also on Thursday. 3 things emerged from his story and the interaction with he and his wife, Patty. The first is conviction is not convenient. These days in America's political process, we have watched so many people who said, I am for the president forever, jump ship or be silent. I'm incredibly disappointed in both of our senators here in North Carolina. You know, and the comment has been made, and I believe it's one that is so much something that we've taken to heart. You know, loyalty is never so regarded as in those moments when betrayal rears its ugly head. We as a church know who our true friends are, Word of Faith Fellowship, like you, Jim. Why? Because there have been times where we've been in the battle and you kind of look to see who's there on the sidelines saying, I'll pray for you as bullets are flying everywhere, or those who say, what can I do to help? And so conviction and courage has become very inconvenient in America's political process. You know, the second thing that we've observed in his story is that when God gives you a word, when God says, in this case, Steve Stockman is going to come home, it doesn't matter what the circumstances look like. It doesn't matter what you feel like. It doesn't matter what the naysayers are doing. It doesn't matter what dark forces are trying to do to discourage you. You stay on the mark. And that's a good word for us today. For all of the people that found themselves in bed depressed at the prospect of an inauguration of Joe Biden, and they pulled the covers over their head, get out of bed! We've got work to do. Yeah. You know, and so when you see a story like this, where against all odds, God said there was going to be a liberation that took place in his life, you know, you stick to the truth. You don't look at the circumstances. The third thing that has emerged out of this is a warning. It's a warning, and the warning is that we cannot be passive. We cannot be passive. just like the Black Robe Regiment, and I mentioned this in one of the Word of Faith radio programs that'll be on, I think, later this week. Just like the Black Robe Regiment during the Revolutionary War, and just like it tells us in the book of Ecclesiastes, there is a time to fight. Now, fight doesn't mean grab your AR-15 and do things illegal. That's not what we're talking about. But with conviction and resolve and a passion that is birthed out of God's truth and God's word, we're not going to step back. We're not going to cower. And we've got a job to do in the days ahead. And so when you look at somebody like Congressman Stockman, who was wrongly put in prison, and Scripture is filled with so many examples of people wrongly imprisoned, right?
Right, absolutely.
Right. I mean, I'd say, yeah, you got a big part of the New Testament that was written by the Apostle Paul, and he was where? In prison. He didn't have a lot of distractions, and he could write the words that God inspired him to write. But those three things have really struck me. And Jim, you've seen a lot politically in the world, and you're somebody that so many people in the county really depend on to sort of keep them encouraged. So what's your encouraging word for them today with everything that's swirling about us? A second impeachment of the president, an inauguration that's coming up, all these false accusations. What would you say?
I think one of the things we can do is look back through the history of those folks who are making the accusations and accusing. The accusers are the ones who've been accusing all these years, and to many cases, no validity there. So we have to understand, we wipe aside those things that are not valid, and recognize a lot of it's just making noise. They're making noise. It's making noise, such as happening right now in Washington. They're just making noise. And we know that some of those things they're threatening to do are not going to happen. We don't need to get caught up in all of that negativity to destroy our happiness, because we still have a lot to be happy about. If I may change the pace a little bit, let me ask you, if you will, explain to our listeners the difference between computation and pardon.
Okay, sure. So he received a commutation of sentence, which means that the remaining part of a sentence doesn't need to be served. But there are a number of encumbrances that are still on him that relate to fines and other things that happen when you have a felony conviction that's associated with a federal offense. We intend, as a commando unit, to get his story out to conservative media. We're very much praying for, hoping for, and encouraging in the waning days of the Trump presidency, as it appears to be at this point, for that full pardon to take place. But if the courts, if we can't have that happen in the way that we want to, we certainly want to bring to the court of public opinion the tremendous travesty that has taken place. And I want to make sure this is very clear. The Internal Revenue Service was being used as a big stick and a blunt weapon to intimidate conservative organizations, Tea Party organizations, with threats of audits, slowing down the process of entities that have been organized around conservative values who are trying to get what's called a 501c3 so they can receive tax-deductible contributions and philanthropic inputs to help with their cause. And in the midst of all of that, what ended up happening is Steve Stockman called that out. Lois Lerner, Eric Holder, the Attorney General, the head of the IRS, hated it.
Representative Stockman is on the phone with us now. Good morning, sir. We're glad to have you on the radio with us with My Great America with Jim and Butch. How you doing today? Good morning, Steve. Is this you?
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
Okay.
Steve, we gave a preamble here, and we're going to let you talk, and you're going to be on Thursday. So we sort of framed the story, if you will. It's a blessing to have you on. So tell us, in the remaining 8 or 9 minutes that we have, what took place and why it's important for all Americans to care.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Steve.
Yes. I I can barely hear you. Just FYI.
Steve.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Tell me when you want me to count down.
No. You're on the air live now.
Hello,
Steve. We call this we call this warfare. The devil doesn't want your words to be heard. Can you hear us?
I can barely hear you.
Steve, can you hear us better now? Can you hear this microphone?
Man, I can hear you clear as a bell now. I
All
don't know
right,
what you did.
All right, we'll see what we can do. We're on the auxiliary mics, and that perhaps might be the problem. But go ahead, you're on the air. Tell us your experience. We want to.
All right, we'll do. Okay. When I worked for Morton Blackwell in Washington D.C., we ran a program for student investigative journalism. In fact, one of my students was a gentleman by the name of James O'Keefe.
Mm-hmm.
And we taught students that the left needs to be held accountable. And the way to do it is through exposing and telling the truth. I myself continued that practice once I got elected again in 2012. We held a gentleman by the name Barack Obama accountable. And wasn't very hard to find misappropriation of funds and all kinds of shenanigans, but most congressmen, in fact all congressmen, frankly, were quite nervous about highlighting it or exposing it to the public. My chairman, who's a dear man from California, said, Steve, you better not do that. You'll end up in prison or dead. And I said, well, we have a higher caller to defend this nation. And so I believe that. And so I went public with a lot of the things that we were finding. One of the things we found was Hillary Clinton. And oddly, I thought this is going to make the front page of the New York Times, really be a big deal. But what happened then is the first real indication of how our media was operating, which was to bury anything in resemblance to the truth or what's going on with the frankly the Democrats. One of the things that was really alarming is that Hillary's largest donor to her nonprofit, which they pocketed most of the money themselves, was making a deal with an oligarch in Ukraine to allow the ship steel to Iran. This is a counter-violation of many protocols and established norms. Iran is listed as a terrorist nation, and we documented this. And only in a small blurb was it in the Newsweek, and then again and also in World Net Daily, which it was astounding. I thought that would be bigger, but maybe I thought no one was paying attention. But clearly, within the White House, they were paying attention. Even though the press wasn't paying attention, the Politico called me the number one thorn in the side of Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm. And they set out to put me in prison, and they spent, someone said, near to $22 million. I joked once and said, if you gave me $10 million, I would have gone and saved you $10 million and done it for free. I mean, for the money. But it was pretty perilous going through all this. It destroys your life, the mechanisms in which they have the government's tools at their hand is quite enormous. And it was, someone in Stalin's in Soviet Union time said, show me the man and I'll show you the conviction. And unfortunately, our nation is frighteningly now. There's going to be a lot more Christians and conservatives who are going to go through what I went through, because the number one person I feared would ever be in power was Kamala Harris. So much so, I went out to California to work against her because I predicted one day she'd be in power and she would be throwing a lot of Christians in prison. And to demonstrate that, they just appointed a woman over at DOJ that considers whites to be inferior because they don't have enough melon in their bodies. We are headed towards a drastic change in our nation.
And I, for one, want to sound the clarion bell to say, wake up, wake up. Jesus went to Gethsemane to pray at his greatest hour, and yet his disciples fell asleep. He came back and they were still asleep. And, you know, it really, I think, hurt Jesus in a lot of ways, because here's his pinnacle of pain, and right before he knows he's going to be crucified, his disciples fell asleep. And I'm saying, we got to wake up. We got to wake up. We're in real dire straits. And what's about to happen to, I think, Christians and conservative are really, it's going to be a dramatic moment for us all. And I just pray that, you know, my wife says I'm a canary in the coal mine to yell out that clarion call. What happened to me literally could happen to anybody. I mean, President Trump went through it. You saw the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, and it's kind of an oxymoron, by the way, Intelligence Committee, stand there and make up stories about the president and how he should be impeached. They took this impeachment, which is very, very serious motion, and trivialized it and turned it into a partisan tactic. And now they can do if they can do that to the president, they can do it to anybody. And as we're finding out, they'll be platforming, won't allow you to buy things, and that could be much more stricter, especially if they'd start tying it to cryptocurrency, which I'm actually one of the first person to in Congress that ever dropped a bill on cryptocurrency. But you get this confluence of all these things, and you can see that God's hand may be removed from America, but we pray that it's not, that God's still there.
You know what, Steve? This is going to be a preamble to a full program on Thursday where we're going to jump right into it. Folks, this is My Great America with Jim and Butch. This is Congressman Steve Stockman. A story of injustice, a story of being falsely accused and imprisoned, but a courageous story coming out of it that's going to be a rallying cry for patriots around the country. Make sure that you tune in on Thursday, My Great America with Jim and Butch here at WCAB, and we're going to jump right in then with Congressman Stockman, who's really going to unpack the treacherous strategies of the government and a weaponized DOJ to put him in prison, but what it portends for Christians everywhere, but more importantly, what we can do to keep hope and keep our courage in the days ahead. We're so grateful to have had you on for this short time and look forward to Thursday for the full program.
Thank you so much, and you guys keep up the faith and keep up your prayers, and let's go forward.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for My Great America with Jim and Butch. Join us each Tuesday and Thursday morning at 9:05 for this enlightening program on 100.9 FM and 590 AM. It's My Great America with Jim and Butch.
Today we're going to see clouds gradually clear out and so will showers and areas of patchy fog. Sunshine will move in later in the day. Today's not going to be a complete washout. We're going to get highs to top in the